Carlos Sainz worried for drivers' long-term health in new F1 cars as he calls for debate. Carlos Sainz says drivers may be paying a physical price long-term if Formula One sticks with their current car philosophy. The Ferrari driver, who says he has neck and back issues due to new for 2022 cars porpoising, wants to open a debate with drivers and the FIA. Carlos Sainz says he is concerned about the long-term health effects the new Formula One cars could have on drivers, calling for a rethink on the philosophy as he fears paying a price with his career. F1 has a completely new generation of cars for 2022 with a focus on improving wheel-to-wheel racing, and while that has so far materialized, the cars are also heavier, stiff, and have seen drivers suffer with violent bouncing. Sponsored link. Young adult males with sickle cell disease lack knowledge of fertility. AJMC. Recommended by. Through the 5 races so far, many drivers have already spoken of the increased physical demands of the new cars, and Sainz went a step further ahead of this weekend's Spanish GP by saying they could have long-term effects. Ferrari trust process as Red Bull development war rumbles on. Mercedes offer first glimpse of upgrades after private test. Spanish GP. When to watch live on Sky Sports. I think as drivers in Formula One we need to consider how much of a toll a driver should be paying for his back and his health in a Formula One career. With this car's philosophy, said the Ferrari driver. I think we need to open the debate more than anything. I think the regulations are great, they're doing exactly what was needed for racing. But do we need to run as stiff for necks and back as we are having to run lately with the car mass? For me it's more of a philosophy question that I put out there for Formula One and everyone to rethink about how much a driver needs to pay a price for his career with his health to combat this. I am thinking more long-term. Sainz admitted that the topic of health in a car was one that drivers don't like talking about much, because we don't like sounding weak. I am strong, I am very fit, and I consider myself one of the fittest drivers, explained the Spaniard. I've never struggled in a Formula One race at all. But it's more long-term and for the benefit of all of us. Russell. New cars brutal, people forget there is a human being inside. Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc said he didn't struggle as much as Sainz but said he definitely agrees that the new cars shouldn't cause such physical effects. Pierre Gasly also said that it could be a long-term concern, although highlighted that his car has already improved with the porpoising through 5 races. George Russell, meanwhile, called the new cars brutal. I'd love to speak to my team and be able to share some of the data of the forces we're experiencing through the car, the Mercedes driver told Sky Sports F1. We're driving 200 miles per hour down the straight. The car is smashing against the floor. I think sometimes people forget there is a human being inside the car. We might have a helmet on, but it is brutal. A conversation needs to happen at some point. Sainz wants to open debate about car philosophy. Sainz added in his written briefing, I see this year I am tighter everywhere. I am already feeling it. I don't need expert advice to know that 10 years like this, it's going to be tough and you're going to need to work a lot in mobility, flexibility, and I am going to need to invest in health, body health. Maybe we should put it up out there to talk about and see what options do we have. Sainz says he has yet to speak to other drivers about his concerns or the FIA, but hopes a debate can be opened. It will get to a point where if we decide to go in certain directions, the FIA needs to get involved for sure, he said. Let's see in the future. It's still very early days. It was a thought I was having in the first 5 races when I've been suffering with porpoising, that I've never even brought up in a meeting yet. I was probably thinking out loud and it's something very young in my head and I probably need to speak to other drivers like George who are struggling with the same phenomenon. We need to sit together and see what we can offer or propose.